I am very happy with where we're at, the direction we're going. We are topping 16,000 as of this month.
It's amazing.
I had that winner mindset, always thinking positive, always trying to look for avenues to bring in revenue or bring in new students. We were at the peak. We were knocking on the door of 20,000 a month billable just in tuition alone. And
hey everybody, I'm here with Jennifer Waters here. I'm here with Mr. Chris Massie. Mr. Massie, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So yeah, tell everybody a little bit about your school, where you're located, and yeah, we'll dig into it.
Okay, well, I'm Stryker Martial Arts Academy in Bristol, Virginia. Bristol is a twin city. So there's Bristol, Tennessee, Bristol, Virginia. We're just like 7 miles over the line, and we're in a very busy strip center. Used to be called Restaurant Row. You walk out of our front door and you're looking at Red Lobster. And so there's a movie theater in the same parking lot as me, a Logan's Roadhouse, lots of hotels. So got a lot of parking. I know everybody's always looking for their parking, but we moved here to this location in May of 21.
Awesome.
We have a little over 5,000 square foot and right at 3,000 square foot of matted space. So,
very good. Yeah, that's awesome. So I know we've known each other for a very long time, since I was a little kid. You want to just kind of dive into maybe I know there's a long history, but maybe a short history of, all of that?
I had a job that I traveled through South Carolina and Georgia, and I ran in through my travels with Ray Thompson in Simpsonville, South Carolina. Started training with him a little bit, and then through Mr. Thompson, he introduced me to Mr. Siegler, and I became a student of Mr. Siegler's, 1998, I believe, officially. And it was that same year that I became one of the schools in the American Kempo Association, and it's just been nothing but good stuff since then. Lots of travels, lots of road trips to Georgia. Sometimes we'd meet in the middle at South Carolina and we'd do our training there, but well worth it. And just I've been in the martial arts over half my life. I always tell people that. And,
it's pretty incredible.
So
I think I was 11 then, 11 or 12, and not to date you too much or date me.
No, but I do remember the first time you and your dad came to our school, and I forget, you were probably about 12, I think, maybe 13.
Yeah, maybe 12 or 13,
And I remember my stepson at the time answered you with a yeah, and you dropped and gave him 10 push-ups. And I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
It's funny. Yeah.
So, but it's, through my travels with Mr. Siegler, he's introduced me to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So he got me into Jiu-Jitsu with Carlos Machado. And, I consider the Sieglers family to me because, we have been, acquaintances for several years, over 20 years.
Over 20 years. Yeah, for sure. Well, you saw kind of our school take off and, that evolution, when I was turned 18, 19, something like that. And then we start growing like crazy, and your school was doing okay and things like that, and kind of had some ups and downs. But I think 2020 was pretty rough for you.
COVID hit. We were at the peak. We were knocking on the door of 20,000 a month billable just in tuition alone. And Bristol is not a huge town. It's a small town. So 20,000 was really a good number for us. And then COVID hit, and we went from that number. 3 months later, we were barely pushing 6,000, barely keeping our doors open. As soon as they opened it up to where we could actually come back in our schools and train, we trained in the parking lot. Like 2 weeks prior to that. We started building and growing our school back, calling people, trying to get them back in. Then the landlord doubled our rent. We had to actually find a new location, and our old location is literally behind the movie theater. Movie theater is that way. We moved in front of the movie theater. Bigger parking lot, more visibility, wide open space as you can see behind me. And May of 21 was when we actually moved, and I think it was about that time is when we signed up with 7FD.
So what were the challenges that you were facing at that time when we actually started officially working together?
We had just started hiring our staff, training our staff, finding out, all the ins and outs of doing payroll and things like that, all the business part of it. But at the same time, we moved during what was a slow time because we're going into summer. Everything kind of dips in the summer. So we started preparing for back to school. I remember you guys started me on calling the schools and getting everything. Well, I did manage, because we were still at the tail end of COVID.
Yeah.
I did manage to have one school that allowed us to come to their open house. And it wasn't a normal open house where they actually can walk by you and all this kind of stuff. They would come in, but they didn't have the big long line. So we had to stay masked and handed out cards, and we ended up getting quite a few students. But it was at that time, the ads, we didn't have any ads going. You guys took care of that for us.
Yeah.
Started getting our leads coming through the door, teaching us the scripts, teaching us processes of, how we're supposed to handle the customers. At that time, I was doing some of the lead calls myself as well as the dojo assistant. But at the time, my wife and I were doing whatever we could to build the school back. And just as they say, right when you get the ball rolling, something else happens. My mother went into an assisted living facility, and then we took on the care of being her caregiver. Providing for her cost of care was the issue at the time. We had to do a lot of things to come up, turn her house into an Airbnb. We had to run that, so that took us away. But once her house got sold and everything was off of our plate at that point in time, we dug our heels in and absolutely went after it. And that was last fall. It's almost like we had to recommit to doing what we had done in the beginning. We just kind of started all over again. You guys were very helpful with us with that, and it has honestly been a game changer for us. Knowing that we had to do it was one thing, but this is our passion. We didn't feel like we had to do anything. We wanted to.
Right.
I love working with my wife. I didn't want her to go out and get a job. I didn't want to go out and get a job. So we made a family decision that we were going to do whatever you guys told us to do in order to be successful. And I am very happy with where we're at, the direction we're going. We are topping 16,000 as of this month.
It's amazing. 2016 recurring. That's awesome.
And that's just in tuition. That doesn't count for any of the credit card machines or any of the merchandise or anything like that. We look at that as our bread and butter. That's our reoccurring that we can bank on. And as long as it keeps moving in that right direction, that keeps us good. The influx of all the leads coming through, and it's a process. I had to learn how to do the sales part. Luckily, I had a hip replacement that sidelined me for about 3 months.
Yeah.
Seriously, while I was down with my recovery from my surgery, I dove into the sales part of it, and I started doing all the sales. When they would do the intros, they would bring them to me, I would sell them. And that is my background. I come from a marketing background of 20 years of advertising sales. And so I was in my comfort zone when this was happening. And last night was a crazy night. We had 8 intros come through the door. Well, actually, we had 7 intros and 1 walk.
Wow.
And all the dust settled last night. We had 6 on paper, 1 scheduled to come back. And I got a phone call from one as we walked out the door that he wanted to come back in this weekend and sign his little boy up. So the processes are working.
That's awesome. Yeah.
If I had to give anybody any advice at all, is follow the script close as you can, and just do what you guys are telling you to do, because I am like a walking example of what happens. And I am stubborn, and you will admit I am hard-headed at times, and I am very stubborn to change.
A little bit, but you've proven that you can, and now you guys are reaping the benefits of that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's it makes us sleep a lot better at night.
Yeah. So how many total students have you guys gotten this month so far?
This month we actually, on paper, we have 10 signups this month. That's a little down from where we normally go. We try to land at about 15.
Yeah.
But as my wife reminds me constantly, we're at the end of May, schools are getting out, people's focusing on awards banquets and things like that. I freak out every year during this time because of that. And she's my voice of reason that says it'll be okay. It happens this year every year this time.
Yeah.
And our goal is each month is to try to pull in 15 new students at least.
Yeah.
There's been months that we've hit 20. There's been months that we hit 10 like this, but it all kind of balances itself out, and the progress is still on that upward curve.
Yeah. So what's the total student count that you guys are at right now?
With the ones, she's looking at me right now. It's like 172.
172.
Is that what your fingers just said? Yeah, that's what she just did. It's 176.
Wow. Yeah, that's really incredible. You guys have put in a ton of work. But what do you think is a personal characteristic of yours that's led to this revived success that you guys are now having?
Well, I had to adapt the way I was thinking about things. So as far as that goes, a change in mindset, a change in the way I'm approaching this. But a characteristic, I'm not a quitter. And when it comes to a challenge, I won't back down to a challenge. Of course, you know, anybody listening to this is a martial artist. We're all kind of it's built into us in our DNA. You know, we accept challenges head on. I refuse to let COVID or anything like that, you know, take my dream away from me. And, you know, I know a lot of schools closed during the COVID. We got real creative during COVID. You know, you guys had us doing things over the Zoom calls. We did Zoom classes, kept the students that we had. And so, but, you know, just not willing to, you know, be defeated.
Yeah.
You know, had that winner mindset, always thinking positive, always trying to look for avenues to bring in revenue or bring in new students. We would set movie booths up when there was no movies out. We had that relationship with this theater, you know, equipping everybody with our guest passes, telling, hey, you see somebody, give them a guest pass. We launched our referral rewards program within the school, started getting some referrals coming in. So as far as that goes, just like I said, adapting your mindset and just refusing not to be successful.
Yeah. So you've been on the inside, you've been working with us for several years now. Like, what would you say to somebody who's sitting on the fence? They've never experienced it. You've experienced it. So what would you say to that person that's considering working with 7FD?
What are you waiting for? I mean, if you want success, I've tried, you know, prior to you guys starting your marketing company, you know, there was other companies that I tried out, the same ones that y'all tried too.
Yeah.
This is 7FD is the most thorough. It is the most turnkey, and it is a very simple process. You guys give us the tools we need. I would just tell anybody who's sitting on the fence, pull the trigger, go for it. You will not regret it, will not be disappointed, and you will watch your numbers grow just as we have. And you will watch the students happy. You will watch the parents happy. I love it when somebody comes up in our community and just says, oh, you're the karate guy. Yes, I am. Yeah. I'll accept that. I like that. I like that tag, karate guy. You know, but yeah, just don't wait.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Mr. Massie, thanks very much for being here with us today, and super pumped about your success, sir. Thank you guys for having me. I'm privileged, and it's an honor to be a part of Seven Figure Dojo. Awesome. All right, everybody, we'll see you next time.